Timber Tiger Aircraft is proud of all it's accomplished in the last several years. For instance, our fuselages now are completely match drilled. That means you can assemble a fuselage on your table without any special fixtures, Cleco and go. All right, we've got a video about that. It's about an hour and 10 minutes long. Check that out and see exactly how that works. But another thing that we're also very proud of is this assembly here. This assembly is our rear stub spar. Okay, this goes through the fuselage. It attaches to the landing gear here, the aft leg on the landing gear. It's got your lugs for your fuel tank straps here. It's got a wing rib bracket here and some more tail ribs that eventually go here. Your drag tube comes through here, passes through the fuel tank and into the forward landing gear attachment. It's got your longeron supports here and your skin support. It's got a bulkhead support and your rudder cable guide. And of course, it's got your control stick mount. Now, this is a built-up unit. It's a very heavy built-up unit made of laminations of aluminum. Now, this aluminum, we cut this here at the shop, just like everything else we do. It's all CNC'd. This comes pre-drilled right off the table, and of course you have to open up the holes as you're installing your rivets. Now, if you don't want to build this unit, that's understandable. It is a pretty critical unit. It does take a lot of force, especially since you have the wires pulling on the landing gear through there. That force gets translated into the center here, along with any compression loads that we get from the wing spars. Those wings are wire braced, so when you get a load on the wing itself, that turns into a compression load in the spars. So it is a very, very important piece to do your best on. Any nicks, scratches, that kind of thing should be removed. So you'll see the drawing here for this rear stub. This is a stub overall view. Okay, that means you've got your bulkhead 2. This is the heavy steel bulkhead. You've got your bulkhead 3, which is aluminum. You've got your rear stub. You've got your tail ribs, your drag tube, and of course your outboard and inboard ribs. Okay, and don't forget the fuel tank fits in here now too. So this drag tube is removable. That's why this is notched out and goes up from the bottom. Fun thing about the fuselage kit versus the wing kit or stabilizer kit, as you recall with the stabilizer kit, there's a lot of layout and stuff like that. And the problem in that is that people sometimes can be afraid of measuring. I don't understand why, but it's true. So we do have a manual that goes with the tail surface kit and wing kit. The fuselage is actually really easy and really fun in that it's more of an assembly task, okay? So since a lot of this stuff is pre-drilled, it's self-locating. You don't really need to worry about where is it going. It kind of tells you. So that's the fun part about the fuselage, is that your manual is right here. This is your manual, unless you're scanning your own fuselage, of course, but very straightforward stuff. Here's the rear stub spar. Okay, as you can see, the manual is on the drawings. Okay, we've got a warning here. It just says that it's a critical component. Make sure that you do your best work. Now, again, if you are afraid of doing this part for whatever reason, which you shouldn't be, I mean, it's one of those things. If you take your time, you'll be fine. But if you don't want to rivet this all together, we do option that out as a quick build option. So if that's the case, this particular page would be kind of moot for you, except for it will educate you on what is what on the stub spar. So of course you can see here, these are the different laminations. And we, again, CNC these all in-house. And all you have to do is make sure they go in the right order. Open up the holes, of course, and you're ready to go. These are the brackets that go on the stub spar. Okay, these are made out of raw materials that we send in the kit. Very, very easy to make. So I think what we want to do now is, again, here's an overall view of the stub spar, but I want to show you how that looks installed on an airplane. This is that stub spar installed on an airplane. It looks way different once it's installed. but you can see it back there. And of course we've got your fuel tank straps right here. On some kits, on the earlier kits, we had straps top and bottom, steel straps. Now on these later ones, we actually have a strap, a set of 3 straps right here. You can see those. And they go left to right over the top of the tank and back into this other rib right here. Now, the reason we did that is it's just so much easier to get this thing mounted and installed in the wing, the fuel tank. So this here is your drag tube. This has a Heim joint at each end to allow you to change the squareness of the wing stub. Now, we found out that this fuselage now is so easy to manufacture squarely that this drag tube is really only here for flight loads, not necessarily squaring of the wing stub during assembly, but you'll still want to check to make sure that everything is square. So your fuel tank goes in there, and then of course you've got some access holes over here. You've got your fuel tank fittings that go through those, and then up into your fuselage. Try and keep fuel out of the fuselage as much as possible, of course, but there are some lines that will have to go through there. So, and then of course, coming up here, you can see the top of the leading edge, or I mean the top of the stub is fully skinned now. On the prototype, the fuel tank was in the nose. Once we learned more about our CG and what we had to work with, we were able to get the fuel tank back into the wing stubs. So, but this all gets fabric covered, no different than the prototype. There's a fuel tank in each wing, and they are approximately 10 gallons apiece. So way more fuel than we had in the prototype, and it's well, it's out of the cockpit, and that's the big thing. So. Anyway, you can see we've got our counter wires here. These counter wires take a lot of load, and they go up into, well, starting down here at the landing gear from that weldment up into a weldment up here. And those are, of course, are, like everything we do, TIG welded. So, so yeah, that's the purpose of that stub spar in the back there. Just take a lot of those, not only the flight loads, but the fuel tank loads as well. And the front stub, we don't really need to cover that just yet. It's a lot simpler. It's just a weldment with a tube going through it, so we don't really need to worry about that a whole lot. So, yeah, that's the wing stub.